Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. As always, it's me, Jordan Shannon, and I'm joined by Kieran Powell. How are you, Kai?
Fantastic. West Indies won. I'm always a happy person when the West Indies wins. So
Well, that's it.
fantastic. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, and looking forward to obviously we can debrief the series, and it ends in a positive way, and as you know, some of the points we've been discussing came to fruition. Shea got a big 100, and it just showed how you set an innings up perfectly with that.
Yeah, I think it again interesting pitch. The end result wasn't always, I guess, envisioned. Like it
No,
did look like a bit of a struggle for the majority of the innings, but having, as we've mentioned, one of those top four batters in right through to the end sort of
yeah,
provided that anchor that the West Indies needed. And
yeah,
Shea played a masterful knock. It's not often that I message guys when they're playing or whatever the case is, but I did speak with Shea afterwards, and it was just that's probably one of the best hundreds that I've seen him make. It's interesting that I don't know where the commentators would have heard it before, but there was a lot of mention that Shea should go back to opening the batting. But I think there's some podcasts that I've heard talking about that for quite some time, but it was genuinely a masterful knock.
yeah,
I think that, obviously it was a bit difficult up front, and Evan sort of, his 37 won't probably get as much value in other people's eyes, but it allowed for, I guess, Shea to come in a bit later. Again, Casey probably struggled to get the ball away, but he absorbed, I
yeah,
guess, that early period where it was a bit tricky to bat.
yeah,
And I think that Justin Graves and Roston both coming in towards the end and providing that impetus that the innings needed.
yeah,
It was just it was a very, very good team performance.
yeah,
At the end of the innings, when you look at it holistically and what the end result was, it didn't look that way in the making, but
yeah.
being able to absorb the pressure and have wickets in hand to accelerate like that with a set batter is probably the template that the West Indies would have wanted, especially batting first, which is not something that they
No.
prefer to do. So it's very heartwarming to see
Yeah.
so many different aspects or facets of the game come together for the West Indies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I think the point you mentioned there about the emphasis towards the end of the innings, obviously, it puts my comment that I made in the last episode about losing firepower towards the back end. It just goes to show when you well, exactly what you said. When you've got a set batter, and it allowed Roston to go and do that, and then it allowed Justin to go and do that as well. It just goes to show that you don't actually need that firepower specific role.
Yep, that's what I told you. I
Yeah,
remember, as I said, I had this conversation with Marlon Samuels before I was very young. I was probably 21 years old. There's no better firepower than set batters
yeah,
because you already know the conditions, you face the bowlers through various spells, so they're at
yeah,
your mercy at that point in time. And that's what we saw. I think at the last 7 overs, they were going at something like 15 runs per over for the last
yeah,
7 overs, so that really kicked them over the edge. And I mean, Shea getting his 18th ODI century, he is a West Indian great 50 over player with only Chris Gale and Brian Lara in front of him. And
yeah,
you look at the amount of games that Shea's played in comparison to those two guys, and the amount of centuries that he has. I
yeah,
mean, he's just one behind Brian Lara, and I think he's like 140 games less.
yeah,
He's getting a century every 4.45 innings as an opener,
yeah.
and every 7 point something innings as just an overall player. So it's absolutely ridiculous the numbers that he's been able to put up, and hopefully, long may it continue.
Yeah, definitely. And just like I mentioned to you last night, for him to reach that feat of being the highest centurion in one day cricket before he reaches 200 games would be a fantastic achievement. And we're talking about real icons of the game, of him to surpass both of those, and he's doing it the way that this is his own style and his own way. And I think it's a real it's a brilliant thing for him to be doing, and it's the way that people have mentioned before, especially T20 wise, have often talked about his strike rate, but he showed exactly what happens when he bats that long time yesterday, is he goes from that 50 to 100 like that, or his 70 to his 120 in no time at all, and that's when he finishes with a 120 off 90 odd, whatever it was yesterday, which is the perfect. And it's not, it wasn't batter friendly conditions either, So it goes to show that, he's doing it his own way and he's in his own identity, which is absolutely fantastic.
I mean, you look at for example, Casey Carty. He pretty much plays the same template
Yeah,
that Shea does as well. These are two guys that once they bat deep, they catch up towards the
yeah,
end. I think that someone like a Sherfin Rutherford as well, if he could probably adapt a bit more of this template because
yeah,
he's got far more firepower than those two guys. So if
yeah,
he can adapt a bit more of that template, because he naturally scores quick anyway, and he
yeah,
just gives himself a chance to bat until, let's say, over 42, 43.
yeah,
The kind of damage that he would be able to continually do.
yeah.
Um, I don't even know if my mind can, I guess, comprehend the damage that he'll be able to do. But I think it's trending well for the West Indies. Roston had a very good series, holistically
Fantastic.
bat and ball as well,
Yeah,
and I think that Justin showed a lot of street smarts. It wasn't necessarily muscle, but it was more skill and understanding the situation in terms of scoring the way he did. So I think that it was a very good performance for the West Indies. The only, I guess, um, standouts were obviously Brandon King and Casey in this series. But you know, as I said, I think that a swap with Brandon King and Shea
yeah,
in terms of batting positions will make
yeah.
a huge difference.
Yeah, and also with the way that it was, it was a bit conducive to seam and spin at times. There's going to be casualties at the top of the order. You know,
Yeah,
Pakistan bowlers are allowed to bowl well and get you out, and that's you're going to have that. It's not in those sort of situations. Your top six aren't going to all chip in consistently. There's going to
yeah,
be a little bit like that, and that's where that balance that we spoke about in the last episode really comes in. We speak about Shea opening the batting and coming and Brandon King coming into four, but when you look at that top six, it has got that balance. And you mentioned there about, we'll call it a blueprint per se, in terms of how Shea goes about it. If Casey Carty and Shafane Rutherford introduce that as well and go forward, you've got a really, really good, nice, balanced attack. And also you've got that consistency.
yeah. Well, as I mentioned, Casey does play that way, so
Well,
it's
sorry,
just, I
yeah.
mean,
Sorry, yeah.
yeah, Sherfin, his ball striking ability, like he can take 30 out of an over.
Well, that's
So
it.
if he just needs to be there,
Yeah.
if they can get him to be there, because I mean he's already averaging what 57 anyway.
Yeah.
So if they can get him to stay at the crease, if Sherfin's goal should be to bat 60, 70 plus balls every innings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that will set him up nicely each and
Yeah.
every time, I think. So
Yeah.
no, very, very pleased with that. And let's not forget about the bowling
Well,
efforts
that
as
leads
well. I
on
think
perfectly
that
onto it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no, I think that the bowling was obviously fantastic yesterday. But I think if you look at the series on a whole, I think Ravi Rampal would have it's showing to me that he's able to get through to this group of bowlers
Yeah.
in the short space of time that he has,
Yeah.
because you can see an adjustment in length, in line, the skill sets, and the way that they're looking to approach structuring their inning,
Yeah.
not their well, their bowling innings and their spells, their respective spells.
Yeah.
Shamar Joseph and Jayden Seales has really grown in this format of the game. It's important that they continue to get opportunities. I think Jediah Blade's got invaluable exposure, and I think that when you add the experience of an Alzari back to this bowling group now, as I said, those three core guys in the Joseph times two and
Yeah.
Seals. Now you can start working across tests and 50 over cricket,
Yeah.
because they're now getting a hang of adjusting their lengths to suit the various formats of the game.
Yeah.
And that's going to be beneficial to the West Indies because now you've got a bowling attack that's not only skillful, you've got guys bowling, you've got two guys in particular bowling high pace.
Yeah.
Um, and so that gives you the opportunity to strike a lot more consistently because wicket taking has been an issue for the West Indies. So, these are welcoming signs for the West Indies.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that them getting those overs under the belt, playing the 50 overs, allowed them to work on the lengths that you mentioned as well. Because if you don't have the opportunity to do that, you need that platform to be able to go and do that. And I think the other thing as well is, which is playing a nice advantage for West Indies at the minute, is because they've got a bit of strength in depth in that bowling attack that allows you to rest Alzari like they've done now, and you can manage the workload a lot easier. and then obviously throw people in to give them opportunity in that experience. Because you mentioned there about Jediah Blades, from an environmental perspective, he would have picked up so much just working and watching and being in that environment.
Yeah, and then obviously what he brings to the table in terms of being a left arm seam
Correct.
bowler as
Yeah.
well, it's an added benefit to any team.
Yeah.
I think that the only thing that the West Indies are probably missing now is identifying a leg spinner that can come
Well,
in and be a part of that bowling group.
yeah.
I think that this CBL is going to be a great opportunity for quite a few young leg spinners to go out and showcase their skills
Yeah.
and potentially be the ones that get selected going forward. Because I think leading into the 50 over World Cup in 2027 and into the T20 World
Yeah.
Cup next year, they're going to get a lot of opportunities to play high profile cricket, whether not only just regional cricket, but 18 tours,
Yeah.
the odd T20 and 50 over game here and there to continue to build up and expose them to that level of cricket. So it's very, very important now for the young guys going into the CPL to perform likewise so that their names are top of the pecking order.
Yeah, definitely. And that's we've spoke about some of the negatives obviously for the CPL at times, but also there's positives, which is obviously I think giving the platform for somebody to go and take an opportunity like a Kofi James, for instance, and a Mika McKenzie, and like you want Jediah Blade to then go and take these experience of what he's taken for these, and then really go and be that front line pace bowler in the CPL. So there's going to hopefully, like we know, over the next few weeks we'll be discussing that and going over some of these performances and what we'd like to see and various bits and pieces like that.
Yep. I mean, even someone like a Jadar Blitz, I think what I would like to see from him in this CPL is understanding if the ball's not swinging
Yeah.
up front the first few balls,
Yeah.
he can go around the wicket and bowl that wobble seam, starting straight and trying to get it to go away from the batter. So
Yeah.
he's not giving width from over the wicket where the batter could just hit through the line. He comes around the wicket and
Yeah.
still cramps the batter for room. So it's just different things like that. But um, we're gonna watch and see what players are doing throughout the course of the CPL. We will obviously be commenting on the CPL games as well. So
Yeah,
no, but
definitely.
I'm just happy, Jordan, honestly, because it's been what 34 years from since the West Indies last beat Pakistan in a 50 over series. I'm 35 years old, so that would tell you that that's from since I was one. I've
Yeah.
I've grown up, I've gone to school, I've played international cricket, and now we're doing a podcast. So
Full circle.
that's how many things has happened in this time frame. I am genuinely so like the world is a better place in my life when the West Indies wins games, and I know that the impact this will have on Arabian diaspora, whether it be at home or abroad.
Yes.
So it's just a better feeling now. It's carnival time of the year in a lot of places in the Caribbean, so there's more reason to party and be happy. CPL, the biggest party in sport apparently,
Yeah.
so again, more reason to party and be happy. So very, very good. We talk about lots of different things, but it's important to
Correct.
commend and applaud the team, the
Correct.
management staff, all of these people
Yeah.
when they're able to win games because now the West Indies have gathered valuable points in terms of direct qualification to the 50 over World Cup next year. Daren, Sammy, and his men, very well done. I
Yeah.
still do think that they need to alleviate some of the burden from Daren Sammy in terms of the sole selector role and still having to fly here, there, and everywhere for all three
Yeah.
formats of the game. I
Yeah.
think that that will allow him to focus more on just what he has to deal with in terms of preparing his respective
Of course.
squads and not having to select. I mean, you look at a football manager, he's with his team all the time, whereas downtime is with various different teams
Yeah.
at different stages. So there's only so much one man can do. There's only one other mighty person that I know that did all of that, but that's the creator Jesus Christ. So
I think going back to any points about speaking positively, one thing I don't want to go back over obviously the conversation we had on Monday, but the most important thing is that they're talking about the result now and the winning of that series. That's what the people of West Indies and cricket in general want to see is the positive of successes of winning games and winning series rather than infrastructure issues that we go. We spoke about that, and like I mentioned, I don't want to necessarily go over it, but what the focus and what the forefront of West Indies cricket should be is results and positive results at that.
And not only that, like we talk about results, but that's a Pakistan team that's ranked number 4 in the world, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
that's yeah,
So
no,
that's a huge win for West Indies that were ranked number 10 coming into
yeah,
this match. I think what's even more so happening is that it's not something where it was just individuals that stood on it, like it was a collective team performance.
I was going to say
Various
that.
guys chipped in at various stages of the series to get the West Indies over the line.
Yeah,
So it brings like a collective sense of joy to the entire squad as opposed to you just have your main characters performing and other guys still straggling by the way. So I think that's very good for the West Indies. And I think now going into the summer, it gives everybody a bit of a sense of relief that they could, breathe easy, sorry, and start planning for the next task, which is India.
yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that they showed a bit of character coming back from the first defeat, knowing that the importance of obviously these remaining two games. So they showed a bit of character, but I think they came together as a team because we did speak about obviously that from an environment perspective and a bit about body language and things, and they completely, the last two games have shown that the togetherness as a team and that key bits that individual. I thought that Roston bowled really well at times. He didn't bowl the full quota all the time, but he picked up big wickets at times, and it shows that you need that sort of those sort of big plays in those games. You mentioned about Evan Lewis. He at the top of the order, he took that sort of tricky period, and it allowed then that platform was set then for Shea to go and do it, and Roston and Justin. So it's that team spirit I think that's shown that's been really prominent in the last two games.
And I want to highlight Gudakesh Moti as well,
Yeah.
because the way that he bowled throughout this series, I've not seen him look this confident or comfortable for quite a number of matches now. But he was, very happy to express himself in terms of floating the ball,
Yes.
trying to entice batters to come after him,
Yeah.
getting a bit of drift, a bit of spin, a bit of bounce.
Yeah.
And that's what you want from your spinner through the middle. You want your spinner to attack and get you wickets,
Yeah.
especially on pitches like these that the ball is doing a bit and it's offering something for him to go and search for wickets.
Yeah.
Jayden Seales' continued individual development and his skill set across various versions of the game is nothing short of impressive, but it's nothing short of expected as well. And that is the level of talent, the level of skill he has. I think that the county game and playing cricket week in, week out in different conditions over a long period of time,
Totally agree.
getting to work with different types of coaches, getting to play against different types of players, meet and mingle with different players from around the world
Big
is invaluable. And it's definitely showing that over the past 2 seasons, if you look at where his game was
definitely.
2 years ago to where it is now, nobody can convince me that it's not down to the amount of time that he's been spending playing county cricket. You look at Jamal Warrican over the past 3 seasons, going to England and
Yeah.
playing club cricket every single year, bowling overs, bowling, bowling, bowling.
Yeah.
And then what he's been able to do probably over the past 6 months, 6 to 8 months, again, different conditions,
Yeah.
bowling lots of overs, getting used to being the match winner for various teams. So um, holistically, obviously, a lot of work to do in the background, structurally, etc. But we park all of that today to celebrate what is a very joyous moment.
Yeah. Totally agree. Celebrate the wins hard. That's what I always thought. Definitely. Definitely.
100%.
So yeah, over the next couple of weeks, obviously we're going to go through the CPL and we're going to have a bit of a discussion as well, aren't we, about this, multi-format players and bits and pieces like that. So yeah, so stay tuned, everybody. Lots to look forward to. And thank you for listening to this episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. Please keep liking, people. Please keep subscribing, and the comments, Karen will get back to you on those as well. So thank you so much.